The 1980 D Washington quarter is an important coin from the late 20th century, produced at the Denver Mint as part of the long-running Washington quarter series that had been in circulation since 1932. By this time, the Washington quarter had become one of the most recognizable pieces of circulating U.S. coinage, and the 1980 D issue reflected both the stability of American coinage and the economic conditions of its era. On the obverse, the coin features a familiar left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's bust is detailed, with finely engraved hair tied in a colonial-style ribbon, reflecting his status as the nation's founding leader. Above his head, the word Liberty is boldly inscribed in large capital letters. Just to the left of Washington's throat, beneath his chin, appears the American national motto, "In God We Trust," which has been a standard element on U.S. coinage since the mid-19th century. At the bottom of the obverse, the year of issue 1980 is placed in prominent numerals, anchoring the coin's identity. To the right of Washington's ponytail bow is the mint mark D, identifying this coin as having been struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, which produced hundreds of millions of these quarters for everyday circulation. The reverse of the coin carries a heraldic eagle design that had been used since the series began in 1932. This eagle, designed by Flanagan, is an adaptation of the Great Seal of the United States. The eagle is shown perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of strength, vigilance, and the nation's readiness to defend itself. Below the arrows is an olive branch, representing peace and America's hope to balance military readiness with diplomatic goodwill. The eagle spreads its wings upward in a display of majesty and power. Above the eagle's head, curving around the upper rim of the coin, is a bold inscription, "United States of America," affirming the issuing nation. Directly beneath that inscription is a phrase, "E pluribus unum," Latin for "out of many, one," symbolizing the unity of the states forming a single nation. At the bottom of the reverse design is a denomination quarter dollar, which states the coin's face value of 25 cents. The balance of inscriptions, national symbols, and bold lines give the reverse a distinctly patriotic appearance that reflects the United States' identity in the late 20th century. In terms of technical specifications, the 1980 D quarter follows the copper-nickel-clad standard introduced in 1965 after the removal of silver from circulating quarters. It is composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, producing a distinctive silver-colored surface with a visible copper stripe along the edge when viewed from the side. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.75 millimeters. Its edge is reeded, featuring 119 grooves that both deter counterfeiting and allow the coin to be easily distinguished by touch. Unlike the pre-1965 Washington quarters that contain 90% silver, the 1980 D coin has no intrinsic precious metal content, which makes its general value for circulation limited to face value, except in higher numismatic grades. The mintage of the 1980 D Washington quarter was extremely large, with over 518 million coins struck at the Denver Mint. This high production figure ensured that the coin was widely distributed across the country and frequently used in daily commerce. As such, most 1980 D quarters found today are heavily circulated, showing wear on Washington's hair details and on the eagle's wings and chest. Collectors, however, often seek out uncirculated examples with sharp strikes, lustrous surfaces, and minimal contact marks. Coins that grade at Mint State 65, MS-65, or higher are scarce and command premiums in the numismatic market. Proof coins were not struck at Denver in 1980. Those were exclusively made at the San Francisco Mint, so all 1980 D quarters exist only as business strikes intended for circulation. From a collector's standpoint, while the 1980 D quarter is not rare due to its massive mintage, it represents an accessible entry point into Washington quarter collecting. It also captures the characteristics of coinage from the transitional era of the late 1970s and early 1980s, when copper-nickel-clad coinage had become fully accepted by the public. Well-preserved 1980 D quarters, especially those with full luster and minimal bag marks, are valued as examples of the quality of minting during this period. Some collectors also seek era varieties, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchette floors, though these are considerably less common and often command much higher prices. Symbolically, the 1980 Washington quarter is more than just pocket change. It embodies America's enduring commitment to liberty, faith, unity, and strength. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum reinforce the nation's ideals, while the presence of Washington and the eagle reflect both its founding principles and its readiness to face future challenges. Though ordinary in circulation, in high-grade mint state or as part of a complete Washington quarter set, the 1980D is appreciated by numismatists as a piece of American history that links the everyday commerce of citizens to the larger story of the United States Mint and its traditions. The United States quarter dollar of 1977 is part of the Washington Quarter Series, which had been in circulation since 1932 and continued until 1998 before being replaced by the 50-state quarters program in 1999. The 1977 quarter holds an important place in American numismatic history, representing not only the continuation of George Washington's long-standing image on U.S. coinage, but also the practical use of copper-nickel-clad coinage that was first introduced in 1965 when silver was removed from regular circulation coins. On the obverse, the coin proudly displays a portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, a design originally created by sculptor John Flanagan. Washington's bust face is left, showing sharp features and distinguished hair tied with a ribbon in colonial style. Above the portrait runs a word Liberty, while directly beneath Washington's chin and extending along the left margin is a national motto, In God We Trust. At the bottom of the coin is a date 1977, which anchors a design. Depending on the mint of origin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail one may find a small mint mark letter, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, proof coins only, or no mint mark at all, which indicate production at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse of the 1977 quarter continues a heraldic eagle design that had defined the Washington quarter since 1932. Centered on the reverse, the bald eagle is perched proudly upon a bundle of arrows, representing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Beneath the arrows lies an olive branch, a symbol of peace, showing the nation's balance between defense and diplomacy. The eagle's wings are stretched upward in an imposing but noble stance. Surrounding this powerful image are inscriptions. United States of America is inscribed in a curved arc along the upper rim, and directly beneath it, in smaller letters, is the motto E Pluribus Unum, which translates from Latin as out of many, one. At the bottom of the coin, the denomination quarter dollar is displayed, identifying its value of 25 cents. The composition of the 1977 quarter follows the post-1965 clad standard, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin its characteristic silver-gray appearance with a copper-colored edge when viewed from the side. The total weight of the coin is 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a thickness of 1.75 millimeters. Its reeded edge helps deter clipping and gives a distinct texture recognizable by touch. Unlike pre-1965 quarters, it contains no silver, making it primarily of face value for everyday transactions unless preserved in exceptional mint state or proof condition. In terms of mintages, millions of 1977 quarters were struck, with the Philadelphia and Denver mints producing the bulk of circulating coins. The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions in limited quantities for collectors, struck with mirrored fields and frosted devices, which stand apart from circulation strikes. Collectors often seek high-grade mint state examples with sharp strikes, full details in Washington's hair and eagle's feathers, and minimal contact marks. While circulated 1977 quarters are generally worth their face value, uncirculated coins, particularly those graded MS-65 or higher, can command a premium among collectors. Proof versions, especially deep cameo DCAM specimens, are also collectible. The 1977 quarter is not associated with major design changes or silver issues, but it represents an era of stable U.S. coinage in the late 20th century. It is often found in circulation even today, nearly half a century after its mintage, testifying to the durability of the clad coinage system. For students of numismatics, the 1977 quarter is valuable as a study piece for understanding the long-lasting Washington portrait design, the minting process of the late 1970s, and the symbolic use of American iconography on everyday coinage. It embodies the national ideals of liberty, trust in God, unity from diversity, and strength balanced with peace, all encapsulated in a coin that was handled daily by millions of Americans. The 1967 Washington Quarter is a significant coin within the long-running Washington Quarter series, not because of any design changes or rare metal content, but because of the historical context in which it was produced and the minting policies of the U.S. government at the time. The Washington Quarter series began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and its design by sculptor John Flanagan became a fixture of American coinage for decades. By the mid-1960s, however, major changes were underway in U.S. coinage. In 1965, due to rising silver prices and widespread hoarding of silver coins by the public, the mint removed silver entirely from dimes and quarters, switching instead to a clad composition of copper and nickel. The 1967 quarter is one of the early examples of this new clad coinage and provides an important snapshot of the transition away from silver. On the obverse, the coin features John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington, the nation's first president, facing left. Washington's hair is styled in colonial fashion, tied back with a ribbon at the nape of his neck. The word liberty stretches boldly across the top of the coin, reminding citizens of the nation's founding principles. Beneath Washington's chin and along the left margin appears the phrase, "In God We Trust," the official national motto of the United States since 1956, though it had been used on coins much earlier. At the bottom of the coin is the date of issue, 1967, identifying its year of production. Unlike most quarters, however, the 1967 issue does not display a mint mark. This absence was intentional. During the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins, 1965 to 1967, in an effort to discourage hoarding and speculation. Collectors at the time were setting aside large numbers of coins by mint mark, which contributed to shortages of circulating change. By removing mint marks, the mint hoped to reduce this practice and keep coins in commerce. The reverse of the coin features a familiar heraldic eagle design, which had been in use on the Washington Quarter since 1932. The bald eagle, America's national bird, is shown with wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows that represent strength and readiness of defense. Below the arrows rests an olive branch, symbolizing the United States' preference for peace but its willingness to defend its freedom if necessary. Surrounding this central image are inscriptions that further express the coin's national identity. At the top, in large letters, is United States of America. Just below it, in smaller type, appears E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one, a phrase signifying the unity of the many states into a single nation. At the bottom of the reverse is a denomination quarter dollar, indicating its face value of 25 cents. This reverse design, like the obverse, was a work of John Flanagan and remained a staple of U.S. coinage for more than 60 years. From a technical standpoint, the 1967 Washington Quarter is made of the copper-nickel-clad composition introduced in 1965. Its outer layers are composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This gives the coin a silver-gray appearance on its surfaces with a distinct copper-colored edge when viewed from the side. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.75 millimeters. Its edge is reeded, both as a security feature and as a long-standing tradition for U.S. coinage. Unlike quarters struck prior to 1965, the 1967 issue contains no silver, making it less valuable in terms of metal content, but still highly significant historically as part of the new clad era. Mintage figures for the 1967 quarter were extremely high, reflecting the mint's efforts to flood the economy with clad coinage to replace the silver issues that had been withdrawn or hoarded. Over 1.5 billion quarters were struck in 1967, ensuring that this coin will be widely available and common in circulation. No proof set were officially issued in 1967. Instead, the mint produced special mint sets SMS for collectors. These SMS coins, struck with greater care than circulation strikes but without the mirrored finish of true proofs, featured smoother surfaces, sharper details, and better eye appeal. Some SMS coins even display a cameo effect with frosted design elements contrasting against smoother fields, and these are particularly prized by collectors today. In terms of collectability and value, the 1967 quarter in circulated condition is generally only worth its face value, 25 cents, because of the enormous number struck and its lack of silver content. However, high-grade uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS-65 or better, can command modest premiums. Special mint set coins, particularly those with cameo or deep cameo contrast, are significantly more desirable and valuable to numismatists. Error coins from 1967, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on the wrong planchette, can also attract strong collector interest and fetch higher prices depending on rarity and condition. Symbolically, the 1967 Washington quarter represents a crucial chapter in U.S. numismatic history. It reflects the United States' adjustment to changing economic conditions, specifically the removal of silver from circulating coinage, and the government's measures to keep coinage flowing smoothly despite widespread public hoarding. The inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum, reaffirm the nation's principles of freedom, faith, and unity, while the enduring images of Washington and the eagle link the coin to the country's founding and enduring strength. Though it is an extremely common coin, the 1967 quarter carries with it the story of America's transition into a modern monetary system and remains a tangible artifact of that era.